Welcome to part 2 of my Black Ops 1 special on HCVR, where we cover the assault rifles, and, could have sworn there was one other one, I think this is all of them. Well, this is all as far as I can find HCVR, but, it'll do.
The apocalypse.
Greetings, comrades! This is Sergei Kilemov, and welcome to part 2 of my Black Ops 1 special in HDVR. As I mentioned in the previous video, we're talking about the assault rifles. At least those that are classified as assault rifles in the game. And I'm aware I left out the AK-74U, but there's a reason for that. That gun doesn't exist. It's based on an airsoft gun. What they should have used is, well, technically the AK has 74U, but that would be anachronistic to Black Ops 1. They would have gone for a different gun. You want to look up IMFDB for that. They're a little more well versed in this than I am. But anyway, as I mentioned, we're covering the assault rifles. We've got 9 assault rifles here. Though this one maybe a little too modern here, but it is based on one of the more iconic weapons in Black Ops 1, the Commando, which is basically the short-barreled M16. That's the best way to describe it, I guess. Now, I already covered this in one of my previous videos in HDVR, but it's basically the same gun, only of course looks a little more modern, whereas in Black Ops 1 it definitely looks like it was made in the 60s. And you know, we all know it as the assault rifle. That has the rifle strap that wraps around where the bolt release would hit, which would keep you from actually releasing the bolt release that way. And also going to the charging handle, which would practically render the gun inoperable. But the video games, what do you expect? That I'm meant to be realistic. Well, even that's debatable. But anyway, less talking, more shooting. Helps if I charge the weapon, wouldn't it? You know, whereas Modern Warfare had the M4A1, the M4 Carbine, or whatever, Black Ops had the Commando. And the M27 in Black Ops 2. And I don't know what Black Ops 3 and 4 had. I never played 3 or 4. But anyway, that's it for that little M16. Now let's go to the big M16. This is the A1. There are many different models of M16s out there, especially back in the day. You know, they were experimenting with assault rifles back then. But of course, the M16 was most recognizable. You can see, very familiar shape. You'll know we got the charging handle, iron sights, got the fixed stock, and of course the iconic features of the bolt release, charging handle, the forward assist, of course the little dust cover there, which you can open by yourself, by the way. And of course, can't fire a gun. Doesn't have any ammo in it. And of course, same fire selector, like a single or full auto. One cool thing with M16 is its fire rate. You know, the AKs, yeah, they have more power, but they fired slower, which makes sense. It's a much bigger round and a different fire rate mechanism. So, we're familiar with that. Here's another gun we've seen already, the G11. This is the burst rifle in Black Ops 1. Experimental weapon. You know, never actually fielded. Had a few prototypes, but yeah. As I showed up before, it is a special gun that fires a caseless cartridge. You'll notice there's no ejection port or anything. There's not even a traditional charging handle, which is this little knob here. You turn that twice, and the weapon's primed. And I showed off before, that 3-round burst almost sounds like one shot, but it's 3 rounds going at once. But once you set the full auto, it fires at a much more reasonable rate. And of course we got that scope in there. But naturally, in Black Ops 1, it was a burst rifle. Even though it can fire full auto, naturally a much slower rate of fire, but it is what it is. But we've seen that weapon already. What we haven't seen is the good old Famas. Now, this actually isn't the version that was used in Black Ops 1. It's actually an older version. Actually, a different variant, which have a picture on the screen here. And yeah, the Famas, the French assault rifle for many years. Interesting thing about the F1 here, which doesn't really actually depict here, but I'm not sure if the F1 or F2, but the Famas had trouble loading up brass cartridges because it uses a different internal system than the M16 or the NATO firearms. So what the French army did was they used steel cartridges for their 5.56 rounds for the Famas, and they have their own proprietary magazine for that. And I believe the F2 version does accept brass cartridges, but the original F1 had used steel cartridges. Very interesting. Look it up on IMFDB if you don't believe me, or believe my information is wrong, which that's most likely the case. I'm sure Galil will verify that. But as you can see, bullpup design, which means all the actions behind the trigger. You keep the barrel's length, but you have a much shorter weapon, which is much more ideal for close quarters and stuff like that. And you see we got the charging handle up here, and the ejection port over there. And one thing a lot of people don't notice about the Famas is a built-in bipod, which if I can pull it out, there we go. Yes, it has a built-in bipod. These two little sticks here, that's a bipod. You can put it on a table, or on top of a wall. Have a much more stable firing platform. But yeah. Yeah, fun thing. This version of the Famas, no full auto. It's single fire or 3-round burst. So anyone who's played Modern Warfare 2 will be familiar with this weapon. Also in Modern Warfare 2019. So yeah, customizable to your heart's content, of course. But as I mentioned, the version of Black Ops 1 is much different. It's a different version that's actually fully automatic. And it's considered the best assault rifle in the game. Check out Chaos's videos if you don't believe me. This one, I believe you've also already seen. Now, we don't have the AK-47 HCR yet, but the closest we have is the good old AKM. I already covered this weapon already. But, you fired one AK, you fired them all. We all love the AKs. Such an iconic weapon. Very reliable. Been around for a long time. And in many different iterations. I believe there are more AK variants than the AK has years existing in this world. Just like the M16, it's just a testament of its legacy. And of course, gotta do the tactical reload. Now, this wasn't in Black Ops 1. You just take the magazine out, put it in, then pull the charging handle. But let's be honest, that's boring. You got an AK, you gotta do that. That's just my opinion, though. That takes care of the Solsig. And that takes care of this table. Now, the rest I kind of left here because I'm lazy. Now, I guess we'll get this one out of the way. This technically isn't an assault rifle. It's a battle rifle. This is the M14. We're all familiar with the M1 Garand, classic rifle, the U.S. military during World War II. You're familiar with the ping and stuff. This, I guess you could say, is a successor to it. Instead of using the that box clip magazine that you put in there, you use a box magazine you put down here. You got the charging handle, and this technically is an assault rifle because it's fully automatic, but there's a little bit of a downside. It's accurate, but very, very high rate of fire, which you think would be a good thing, but this is a battle rifle. This is meant to be, fired in semi-auto. Such a high rate of fire and only 20 rounds. You're going to go through the ammo pretty quickly. This is not a machine gun. This is meant to be a battle rifle. Now, we got a 20-round magazine here. naturally you use it like this. Now, one cool thing I forgot to mention. I mentioned the M1 Garand, how the M14 is kind of a successor to it. Well, there is one interesting thing. I believe anyone who saw Hickok 45, I believe certain M14s can use the same rounds, actually the same magazine or clip as M1 Garand. You know, the end block clip here. Supposedly, you can put that in there, but that's only for certain models. What this can do is if you don't feel like taking out the magazine, you can use stripper clips. So if you want to leave the magazine in, you can put the stripper clip in that little slot there, put in the bullets, get another one, come in, take out that. If you'll get out, oh, I guess I'll put the last round in, and you're good to go. See, it can go full auto, but it's not ideal for this weapon here. So yeah, that's the M14. Now, for, you know, the one of the assault rifles everyone uses a lot, that is, not just the Famas, the Galil. Yes, looks like an AK, but this is actually made in Israel. Such a nice, you know, got the similar scope adapter there. You know, you'd be forgiven if you thought this is a different version of the AK, which it's kind of based on the same design and stuff, but to me, it's a much different gun. So you got the charging handle there. You know, we know the reload in Black Ops 1. Take out the magazine, put it in, hold like this, pull the charging out like that, and you're good to go. There's semi-auto. You know, I haven't played Black Ops 1 multiplayer that much, but there's no denying that the Galil was such a beast. Very, very nice. Now, the AUG. That's right. Also appearing in Modern Warfare 2 and, you know, Modern Warfare 2019. Which, funny thing, Modern Warfare 2019, it's an SMG, which, yes, we usually know the AUG as an assault rifle, but there's also a SMG variant that, you know, chambered in 9x19. But if you play the game, you'll eventually unlock a attachment that'll let you to use good old 5.56. And just like the Famas earlier, it's a bullpup design, but this is made by the Austrians. There's actually two variants, but I'm showing this one. This is the A1, I believe. No, it's actually in the carbines, actually. Yeah, this is the A1. This is the A3. Naturally, this isn't in Black Ops, but you see, very similar. For the most part, you tell the color's different. And of course, the Picatinny rails. This has a ton of them. Whereas this one, this is a more recognizable variant of the AUG. Got the built-in scope, got the built-in foregrip, and that nice little bullpup design. Which, I'm gonna be honest, I love bullpups. I wish I actually own a bullpup, because, as I mentioned, you get the same barrel with an assault rifle, and a much shorter package. Very nice gun. And finishing off, we have the FAL. Now there are 3 different versions of the FAL in HVR. I'm using this one because this would seem a little more appropriate for the time period that Black Ops 1 is in. But we also got a para version, which looks like from Modern Warfare 2 in 2019. And we got a tactical version, which naturally gotta have those Picatinny rails and a fixed stock. But we're gonna be using this version because it looks more appropriate for the time period. Looks a lot smaller than it does in the actual game, doesn't it? They always make the guns look so big and beefy and stuff. I guess it makes sense. This is chambered at 7.62x51. Now, funny thing, anyone who's played Modern Warfare 2, You know that reload? You flick off the magazine, putting one in. Can't do it with this one. Not sure why. I believe that is the magazine release, that little lever right there. But this right here is actually the bolt release. Yes, a lot of people don't know that the FAL has a bolt release. But can't really use it on this one. At least as far as I can tell. And a lot of people don't know is that the FAL is capable of full auto fire, but a lot of games, especially Call of Duty, they portray it as a semi-auto rifle, which makes sense. It is a battle rifle, after all, chambered in 7.62. And yeah, you can't do it. It'd be nice if you could, but you can't. Just take out the magazine. Yeah, no bolt release here. So you have to do the charging handle. And yeah, it can go full auto, which none of the Call of Duties do that, I believe. Especially considering that it's a 30-round magazine, as well as a 50-round drum mag, which I doubt they had those during this time period, but whatever. It's already chambered, might as well. I just love shooting guns, at least in virtual reality. Good way to spend time in the range without actually going to the range, especially during these days. So, that is all the assault rifles that are in H3VR that are also in Black Ops 1. Next video, we'll be covering the machine gun, sniper rifles, and launchers. So, hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you look forward to the next one. Till then, do svidaniya.
Atoms fall apart. Solar flares arrive. Buildings collapse. Only a few will survive.